Hey Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. This was a very unexpected surprise today. GameStop had a buy one get one 40% off sale. I wanted this, I knew my son wanted this, so I put in a pre-order I'm recording this on a Sunday. I put my pre-order in on Friday, thinking this was going to ship on like the 29th. And here it is today, arrived in my hands. Wild. So, unexpectedly, this review is going up this week, right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. This is the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. This is the Ghost Rider that I was familiar with from when I was reading comics. I didn't really know anything about Johnny Blaze. Dan Ketch was the guy, and his crazy futuristic hell cycle, and like, this is the Ghost Rider look that resonates with me. So I was very excited to see another attempt, because Toy Biz did one of these. As a matter of fact, I still have it. I think it's in a tote now, but I do still have my Toy Biz one because the motorcycle was so good. But now we've got a Hasbro one, and look, when Hasbro gets Marvel Legends right, they get them really, really right. Excuse me. And this looks to be one of those. So we've got a new classy 85th anniversary packaging, a really nice matte finish on this with some gloss on the detailing here. Window on the front. Look, I was one of the ones that was like, I don't care about the window, and I was wrong. The window, you need it. It's just such a better presentation. Even though I throw all of this packaging away, there's just a better feeling about buying something in one of these window boxes. And I like how it wraps around the side here. A little lesson they got maybe from Classified. Back of the box, you've got some of the details pointed out. Removable foot peg. Interesting. We'll play around with that once we get inside. When Danny Ketch crosses paths with a cursed motorcycle, he is transformed into the spirit of vengeance, wielding supernatural powers as Ghost Rider. So there you go. Let's open this thing up. I'm very excited about this one. Marvel Legends, I mean, there's still a lot of ground to cover for me personally. As far, I mean, obviously, there's infinite ground to cover from the perspective of Marvel's history. But for me personally, in the time when comics meant the most to me, from like 86 to 2000, maybe, I'm going to say 86 to 2000-ish is that impressionable time when what I was reading in the comics was really taking hold of my consciousness and leaving the biggest impact on my tastes. There's still a lot of ground left to cover, but at the same time, Hasbro has done a lot. And the list of things that are, it's hard to say dream items, but the list of things that I feel like, oh, I really wish they would do that, and if they did, I wouldn't be able to resist it, is dwindling. It's just not as extensive as it once was, because they've hit so many things, and they've probably hit so many things in my area of interest, because the people working on this stuff are, you know, around the same age as me. So, actually, I think most of them are a decent bit younger now. But I think there's still some in the fold around my age that were influenced by the same stuff I was influenced by, because it still comes out. But they're Outback X-Men. Like, if I could... What is happening? If I could talk directly to the Marvel team and tell them exactly what I want them to finish, I'd be like a definitive version of the X-Men in the Outback, like those exact looks. And they've got a lot done. A lot more than I really ever thought we might have. But there's still some kind of significant holes there. This feels very substantial. That was one thing about the Toy Biz one is, you know, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Oh, it's great. It's a great, great toy. But this feels like a modern, substantial vehicle toy. Oh, and it rolls so nicely. Beautiful flame wheels. I mean, look, I'm happy to have the Ghost Rider, but this motorcycle is the star of the show. Let's get this thing put together. So you can have or not have the foot pegs on there. That's interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it depends on... Huh. If you notice, this has... Hang on. Let's do a little zoom in for assembly here. That's got a peg on it, so that's actually going to hold those handlebars in place. Got a little swivel there. Really nice detail on the gauges. This looks great. And I love, actually, I'll show you this before we mount it. All of the wear that they've sculpted into this front panel here. Pretty killer. You know I'm not a wear and tear damage guy, but in this instance, it gives it character and personality, and it's not... This is not wear and tear that's ever going to be fixed. Like, this motorcycle should probably not ever look undamaged and neutral. Like, it's going to have this kind of stuff going on. Because it's a unique item. It's not like a HISS tank, where as soon as you put something like this on a HISS tank, well, then you've turned an army building thing into a singular item. This is Dan Ketch's motorcycle. What's on it is on it. It's unique and is, that's it. It's the only one of these there is. And you know what? I don't think I've put it in those terms before. Next time we talk about it on Audible Interlude, I'll have to do it. But that is part of why I don't like pre-manufactured battle damage in toys, is because if it's something like a tank or a standard car, well, now all of a sudden, if you buy 6 of them, they all have the exact same damage on them, and that's stupid. Rolls freely, looks great, no kickstand. So that's, unless that's the purpose of... No, that doesn't really work any better. So the only stand you've got is but it doesn't matter, because even when this thing's idling, hang on, let's back out. Sorry. Even when this is idling, the wheels are still on fire. So these are actually permanent fixtures of the motorcycle. So you don't need a kickstand, because at no point is this just... Can this go like this? Yeah, it sure can. Oh, yes, it can. Look at that. Oh, that is so cool. But even when it's standing still, and I understand that these flames are meant to suggest motion, but even when this motorcycle is standing still, the tires are still... I mean, they're not flaming tires. They are tires made of flames. So you're still going to have a fire effect. And you can even, if you want to, turn this around just to look more like, oh, the flames are just sort of there rather than its forward motion. So yeah, you don't need a kickstand. I am willing to accept that in that way. All right, cool. So a little more detail with the motorcycle before we move on to Ghost Rider himself. You can see the seat, really nice sculpted, separate piece, different plastic. Looks good. Tires are great translucent rubber, soft plastic, whatever. They're squishy, which with flame tires like this, you didn't have to do them that way. But I love that they did. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, and you know what else? Oh, man. So, I expect no less from Hasbro, but rather than just leaving massive open screw holes, there are actually plastic caps seated to cover the screws from where this was assembled. Hasbro, I love you for doing that and for not just leaving that open, because that is such an eyesore. That's that's a vehicle ruiner. And when you're selling something, to adult collectors, not just adult collectors, but a lot of adult collectors, you can't have aesthetic problems like that. And I love that they address that on this. That's great. And I'm sure they've done other motorcycles the same way. I think this is the first Hasbro motorcycle I've actually reviewed, because other ones came prior to me doing reviews, or I bought on clearance and they were old, or whatever the case may be. This is great. Fantastic job on this. All right, so let's take a look at the figure, and then we'll get the figure seated on the Hell Cycle. And we've also got, for the flame effect, I guess it's got to go that way, yeah. Little flame effect to let you do a wheelie. It'd be kind of awesome. Nah, that just, if there was some way to, have the flames coming up around the sides of the wheel right here, but that's that would have been a whole separate piece. And I got to tell you, for the price of this, was it 40 or 50? Even if it was $50, I feel like what we're getting here is more than fair, especially when you consider one Marvel Legends figure is $25 now. So you've gotten this for $25. Toys cost what they cost now, and if you take what toys actually cost now into consideration, $50 for this set is, I think, very fair. All right, so yeah, there is your wheelie effect. I'll set that off to the side and take a look at the actual figure. Got a great flaming skull with, look at that, articulated jaw. Love the flames, the translucent flames coming up out of the collar. Look at the eyes. Oh my gosh, those eyes are awesome. And this is a slightly more stylized skull, because Dan Ketch's skull was, it was 90s style. So it looked different from the Johnny Blaze skull, which is a little bit more of a more traditional skull. He's got his weapon clamped around his chest right now. Obviously, you can slide that right off. I say slide that right off before I've actually done it, but it's a nice soft plastic, so that's gonna come off there for when you want to actually using that, which I imagine most people are going to have that on the shelf that way. Just all that painted detail on the skull is excellent. You see that spine sticking up out of the flames. The collar looks great. All the spike bits. The texture of the jacket. Really nicely done. And then, of course, he's got his spiked armbands, his spiked belt with the wallet chain that doesn't really make any sense, but who cares? It's the 90s. I don't actually know when this version of Ghost Rider first showed up. Like I said, this is the one I was familiar with when I was reading comics then. Oh, look at this. So this is not a loose piece. This is actually attached, so it's not going to slide up and down his boot. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know when Dan Ketch showed up as Ghost Rider. Okay, so he's got the drop-down hips as well to facilitate riding that motorcycle. I really like his trousers, too. Just the look and the texture of his trousers is really nice. I don't know if we've seen this mold before or not, because I just don't do as many Marvel Legends reviews. But they look great. He's got that spiked knuckle duster on the right hand, nothing on the left hand, because it's all about asymmetry, which is fine. So very Simple but very 90s figure, and I'm down with it. I love it. Where they took a look at his weapon, his chain weapon that just goes around his chest. And then we also have the fiery version that is, chain. The way that they did this is so nice, because look, obviously it's cast in this translucent orange plastic, but the way that they painted it, the gradation from fire to steel just looks really, really good. And by the time it gets down to the handle again, I mean, you're matching that original piece really nicely. Well done. And I'm okay with this being sculpted in a pose, because they've chosen a good pose for it that's going to look great on the shelf or in, photography or whatever. I'm good with this. And then he comes with a couple of alternate hands. He has a left hand that's in kind of a grasping, gesturing pose. And then a right hand for punching. But I believe I'm just going to leave those C-grips on it. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think he's going to have the C-grips because, well, let's see how he fits on the motorcycle at this point. Because, that's a critical part of this. And it's not, with something like this, it's not just about engineering the figure or the vehicle. They have to work together. They have to be compatible with each other. Oh, there's one problem. If you put any pressure at all down on that, it's just going to push it right out of place. So you get those drop-down hips going. Let's get his hands in place first, so that he'll hang on while we're positioning the legs. I'm just going to do it like that. Normally I try and put the finger on top of the control, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. That is snug. So we've got two options for the feet here. And look, I'm not going to get him on here perfectly during this review because it's going to take a little more fiddling around with him. To get it done. I wish his head had a little more could look up a little more. Although I say that about literally every action figure I buy. Because I feel like he's sitting up too straight this way. It's not bad, but it's a little weird. I think he might actually look better, because my tendency is to have the kickstands forward, but I think he's going to look better, not kickstands, foot pegs. I think he's going to look better with him right there, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I was wrong. That does not look better. That looks slightly foolish. And again, maybe I just need a little playing around with it to figure out the best pose. But we're going to put those right back up front. Like I said, I'm going to mess around with it and find the best position for everything. It's not something that's going to happen here in this video. But what I will do is get that situated there. Get that chain in his hand. And something like that is probably what I'm going to go for on the shelf. Look, I know it's probably what most people are going to go for, but there's a reason, when you get cool accessories like this, something that's designed to be a cool setup, there's a reason they did it that way. It's because it's cool. All right. That is the Dan Ketch Ghost Rider, the Marvel Legends 85th anniversary release. I love it. I can't think of much I would change about it. Excellent job. If you see this in the stores, grab it or go ahead and pre-order, or I guess order from GameStop. I don't know if their sale is still... Well, by the time you see this, I doubt their sale is still going on. But just keep an eye out. This is a great piece. For me, for somebody who was heavy into comics in the 90s, this was a must-have. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And until next time, buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.